How do I do it all? The Brezza gives me the power.
Australia versus Afghanistan. It has been a standout encounter at each of the last two ICC men's events. You don't need any reminding of them. And now they're set for a third riveting tussle because it's not just Australia and Afghanistan whose fates could hinge on the outcome of match number 10 in Lahore. South Africa too will have keen interest on this one as Group B really heads towards a heated finish. We build up to match number 10 of the ICC Champions Trophy 2025 on Maruti Suzuki Arena, presents ESPN Cricinfo Match Day in the company of Aston Agar. Ashton, thank you so much for your time. Always a pleasure having your company. Gee, this has been some contest in 2023, in 2024, and now, not like Australia were ever going to take Afghanistan lightly, but with what they've done against England at the same venue, this seems popcorn material.
It really is, and it's exactly what we want to see at the Champions Trophy. We want to see every team competing as hard as they can and pushing the top teams, for their spots. So, and like you said, Afghanistan have been fantastic against Australia in the last two encounters. Beating us in the T20 World Cup recently, an absolute thriller where Glenn Maxwell played that unbelievable innings of 200 not out in India. So hopefully this is just as thrilling, but Australia still get up.
Yeah, and that Maxwell masterclass miracle, whatever you call it, from Mumbai becomes an important game to look back at because conditions in Lahore, you could find similarities to what it was like in Wankhede. How much of the detailing from that game are you expecting the Aussies to carry into this one?
I think they would take little bits of information every single time they play against any opposition. They plan carefully for all of their batters and for all of their bowlers, and there's always good discussions around that. The other thing is, once upon a time, we probably didn't have great eyes on some of their players, but now all of their players are playing franchise cricket all over the world because they're extremely good. So there's a lot more information there as to how we could go about combating them and what the best way to do that is. So it's too hard to read too much into the conditions of the wicket just yet. I expect a pretty good pitch, to be honest, as all the wickets have been so far in this tournament.
When we look at Afghanistan, their template seems quite clear, Ashton. They like batting first, they like taking their time and then getting a solid score on the board for their bowlers to defend. Australia, in their tournament opener, had little trouble eventually chasing down a huge total against England. Is there any chance of Australia wanting to throw Afghanistan off of their game by potentially batting first?
No, I highly doubt that. I think Australia will stick to their strengths, and I think that's always the best way to go about it. You can read as much as you like into an opposition, but if you do that, you probably are taking too many of your strengths away as a result. So Australia have had so much success with the white ball recently, and I feel they will do what they like to do best and bowl first and back themselves to chase it down. And I think bowling first gives them the best of the conditions with the ball, and obviously, as we've seen, the better of the conditions with the bat so far.
So if it does play out that way, Australia bowling first, Afghanistan batting, a situation both teams like, wickets at the top become even more crucial when you consider that Afghan template. Their openers like to take their time, and the times when they've succeeded in putting a big total on the board have hinged on them not losing more than a couple of wickets in, say, the first 20. So it becomes imperative for Australia to find some early strikes. Which bowlers hold the key for you then?
I think it's the same every game for Australia at the moment. I think Spencer Johnson holds a massive key with the new ball. His ability to swing the ball is huge, but also Ben Dwarsha's got a few to swing quite viciously in his first game as well. So that was really good to see. So to have two guys who can bowl good pace with the left arm is really important. And then the variation of Nathan Ellis, I mean, potentially with the new ball as well. I think his first ball he bowled to England might have been a slower ball at the back of the hand, and I think that's extremely brave, particularly in the power play as well. But it just shows his willingness and his skill set and his ability to change the speed, not only of his own bowling, but of the game, and get the batters out of their comfort zone slightly. So exposing their middle order is going to be really important. Their batters like to take their time, as you said, up the top. But I think their middle order could be exposed. They want to come in and hit boundaries, their middle order. But if we can make them have to change their game and play a longer game, then I think they're doing something that's slightly out of their comfort zone.
Yeah, if there's one individual worth honing in on, it is the man who just scored 177 a couple of days ago in Ibrahim Zadran, a batter who Australia know quite well because he batted through the innings in that game in Wankhede a couple of years ago. So what would the plans be to him? Who becomes most important in trying to get Ibrahim out?
Yeah, I think it's Zampa trying to get Ibrahim out. I think he's a beautiful player of pace. He looks like an extremely calm guy. He must have a fantastic temperament. I'd like to actually meet him one day because I think he seems like a pretty cool guy. The way he sort of carries himself, and that flows through the way he bats. He's in his bubble. He's very much ball by ball, making sound decisions to the ball that's presented to him. And then at the back end of his innings, obviously accelerating and catching up and going ahead with his strike rate, which he did so beautifully against England the other night. But I think Zampa, potentially, as the wickets get a little bit older, maybe a little bit more spin out there. I mean, it'd be great to see that. The ball spinning both ways, honing in on the stumps, going up and down in the pace. I think all of those little variables will make it harder for Ibrahim to face. So I think Zampa holds the key there.
Expecting a trial by spin is always almost the norm against Afghanistan, although Azmatullah Omarzai is going to say, well, I just took a 5-for against England. But how Australia handle Rashid and Nabi and Noor through the middle overs feels like will be a defining passage of this contest. Which of the batters will hold the key to that battle?
I mean, they're huge ones. Smith against Rashid Khan, I think that's going to be a really exciting battle, because Smith is a really good problem solver, but Rashid Khan is so good, at exposing batters' front pads and stumps. So I'm excited to see that battle. I'm excited to see Maxwell versus their spinners because last time he played them, he hit them wherever he wanted without actually moving his feet at all, which is phenomenal. I think the batters will take great faith that there may not be that much spin out there, which I think gives it's a slight upper hand to the batters when there is a lot of spin being bowled, potentially 30 overs of that. But their spinners are quality. I think Noor Ahmed he looks like, I've never faced him, but he looks like one of the hardest guys to pick in the world. His action is extremely unique, and the pace that he bowls is extremely unique as well, and the action that's on the ball. So he could be extremely dangerous. He probably hasn't been at his best, but before this tournament, he was bowling unbelievably well with the white ball. So I'm excited to see him bowl.
Yeah, we're excited to see all facets of this game. If it's anything like the last two times these teams have met, boy, are we in for a classic. And boy, are you in for a hot stopper, Aston. I'll wish you well for that. Thank you so much for setting up this contest for us. Aston Agar will be joining us through the day as part of our coverage for Australia versus Afghanistan. Be sure to tune in then on Maruti Suzuki Arena presents ESPN Cricinfo Match Day.
How do I do it all? The Brezza gives me the power.